The Roman army is remembered as one of history's most formidable war machines. Conquest, order, unbreakable discipline. It forged men into a single relentless weapon of iron and collective will. But the foundation of that steel was a cruelty that shocks the modern man. The greatest terror for a Roman legionary wasn't the barbarian spear, the Parthian arrow, or the Scythian chariot. It was the cold, calculated judgment of his own commanders inside the camp. The ultimate sanction was decimatio, the removal of a tenth, perhaps the most terrifying form of military justice ever devised. The name comes from the Latin for tenth, and it meant exactly that, a systematic execution of 1 in every 10 men in a disgraced unit. This wasn't punishment for an individual crime. It was collective retribution for a unit's failure, cowardice in battle, flight from the enemy, or mutiny. When a cohort or legion broke, the entire group forfeited its right to exist in death. The survival of the empire demanded absolute obedience, and Roman generals were prepared to devour their own men to enforce it. Picture the scene on the parade ground the morning after the verdict. The full legion assembled in perfect silence, thousands of men in rigid formation to witness the ritual. The condemned cohort was marched to the center, stripped of weapons, belts, cingulum, and dignity. Without the military belt, a Roman soldier was already reduced to the status of a slave or animal. Profound humiliation before the
hour of destiny is upon us. Advance and conquer!
They stood exposed in tunics, shivering in the dawn chill, while the rest of the army watched. The commander read the charges against Rome. Guilt or bravery of individuals meant nothing. The unit was one organism, and the infection had to be cut out. The true horror of decimatio was its randomness and indifference to personal merit. A helmet or urn was brought forward with tokens, one for each man. The cohort was divided into groups of 10, tent mates, contubernales, men who had shared meals, marches, wounds, and brotherhood for years. And now they drew lots to decide who lived and who died. A white token meant life, a black one meant death. The condemned man wasn't hauled away by strangers. The genius of the punishment was forcing the survivors to become the executioners. The 9 who drew white were handed heavy wooden clubs, or sometimes stones, by the centurions. They formed a circle around their former comrade and beat him to death on the spot. This was fustuaring, cudgeling to death, intimate and brutal. No swift sword stroke, no clean end. Clubs smashed flesh and bone in a prolonged, visceral spectacle. The screams echoed across the field, a lesson seared into every witness. Obedience to the eagle was the only path to survival. The psychological devastation was deliberate. Survivors were bound forever by shared trauma. They had killed their own brother with a decimated unit rarely broke again. They feared their general far more than any enemy. The fear bypassed reason and wired itself directly into their nerves. They lived knowing they survived only by chance, staring at their bloodied hands as instruments of murder. After Crassus crushed signs of hesitation in his legions during the Third Servile War against Spartacus 71 BC, he ordered decimation of the first cohorts that had faltered. Around 500 men were clubbed to death in one afternoon while the army watched in stunned horror. Historians note the troops immediately became more disciplined and ferocious, fighting with the desperation of men who knew defeat cost more than death itself.